Hey there, YouTube, it's Justin the Snap-on Junkie. How the fuck are you guys doing today?
Every day I'm hustling. Who the fuck you think you're fucking with? I'm the fucking boss. 745.
Alright, so let's get into this. So today, this video is going to be about, we're going to talk a little bit about air guns. What are they, how do they work in all this stuff? And I'm going to show you kind of my theory, because there is some other videos out there on YouTube, in two big YouTubers, well, one really big one and then one medium-sized one in my opinion, are in a dispute about how they're testing air guns and all this stuff, and is there some hokiness behind it, and is one guy's results really bullshit? So what I thought is this could be a two-part series. I bought a Harbor Freight gun. In the next video, we're going to do a real-world test of this Harbor Freight gun. And in this video, I'm going to show you some of the ways that you could maybe cheat the fucking air system and all that stuff. And we're going to talk about what working pressure and what you actually, if you have your regulator turned up, let's say to 160 pounds, what pressure are you really getting at the gun? Because a lot of these guns are made to run at 90 psi, and you can improve the performance by getting more air to them and all that shit. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Hope you enjoy it. Okay, let's get into what an air gun really fucking is, okay? So an air gun is a tool, air impact, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. Basically, this air tool is like an engine, okay? That's the best way that I could explain it to you, all right? Now, an engine runs, that the more cubic inches you have, the bigger the engine, the more power you can make, basically. Well, an air gun is the same way. It uses intake and exhaust, so it's kind of like a two-stroke, in my opinion, okay? And how you get more performance out of it is A, you spin the motherfucker faster. So RPM, okay, and volume. Just like taking a 4-cylinder car, you put a turbo on it, it'll run faster than a stock V8. Everybody understands that. You're shoving more shit in the cylinder to make a bigger explosion, okay? So with an air gun, you gotta size your line properly. If not, it'd be like running a NASCAR with a restrictor plate on it. You fucking choke the hole down, all right? You make less power. This is no difference. Now, you can put bigger hammers in them, and as the guns get bigger, they do have bigger hammers, anvils, and all that stuff, all right? Now, you're probably wondering, well, every fucking buddies keeps coming out with these guns that are 1,500 foot-pounds, breakaway torque. The fuck does that really mean? Because I really don't know. I'm not that fucking smart. I'm just some stupid fucking guy, but I'm going to use my common sense theory to kind of figure out what they're doing here, okay? So anyway, I'm sure that Snap-on or any manufacturer could build you a 1/2-inch gun that would have the same performance as a 1-inch gun, okay? I'm sure that they could build it. It would be fucking big and heavy and all that shit. But I'm sure we could fucking do it. Now, the reason that they can't do that is because what this anvil material is made out of. And also, think about the sockets. If you have a 1/2-inch fucking, let's just call 7/8 socket, right? And you're trying to bust something loose. If you had a gun that just ran all the time at 1,500 pounds, well, you would be going through sockets like fucking water. It would just be like, you would just explode them. So they have to build it to what they already have built, okay? Because if not, they would have to warranty all your sockets, if you get what I'm saying. So that's why they don't build these things to be fucking badass. So now how can I sell you a new impact gun without making it to where it blows your fucking sockets apart and all this shit? So now they're starting to think, okay, we want them to last 3 times as long. We want them to be able to use dirty air, because a lot of times in these shops, you guys have dirty fucking air. There's water in it, all this shit. Just like a regular car engine, you can't burn water. these things don't like water, okay? So you gotta have a dryer and all that shit. So now what they're trying to do is they're building you guns that fucking, you know, that last 3 times as longer, less weight on your wrist and arms, and you know, that the gun is more balanced, true, it doesn't twist your arm all up. Because now, back when I was drag racing, we would go through 1 impact gun a season, maybe 2, just depending on how many rounds you went and tested. And how you could tell that your impact gun was getting shitty, okay, is it hurt your fucking wrist. Like at the end of the day, after taking the cylinder heads off, your fucking wrist would be like, God damn, dude. I mean, fuck. Throw that gun away and get a new one, because it's starting to get wore out. And now we use impact guns like a motherfucker. But anyway, we're gonna talk a little bit about like sizing your airlines and all that stuff. Let's get into that section. But I hope you understand kind of what my theory on this is and how you can kind of cheat the system a little bit. So I have 3 test rigs set up here. I have a 1/4 inch one, 3/8, and a 1/2 inch. We're going to be using all the same gauges and all that stuff, and I'm going to kind of get you zoomed in here, and we'll take a look at this regulator where I run it, because a lot of people have been asking me what I run my regulator at, and I run it wide the fuck open, because, you know what I'm saying, I got shit to take apart. I ain't got all day. You know, we want to run balls to the wall. So let's move over here, and then we're going to start, you know, I'm going to show you a 3/8 gun, how much volume that moves, how I can manipulate this gun to get whatever kind of test results I kind of want, theoretically. So, there you go. Okay, so I don't know if you could see down here, but I have my regulator set at 160 pounds, okay? And I have a 100-foot of 3/8 line is what we're going to do the first, and it has a 1/4 inch industrial regular air fitting on it, okay? So now we're going to plug this up, okay? And you can see here on the regulator, okay, or what we got here, we got 160 pounds to this fitting, okay? Now I'm going to take a regular 3/8 air gun. We're going to stick this on there. Okay, you can see that we got this stuck on there. There's that. Now what we're going to do is pull the trigger, okay? And this is probably going to get pretty loud, but we're going to see what this gauge fucking goes to and what we're running for actual working pressure. So as soon as I hit this trigger, you'll see that this gauge is going to go down quite a bit. So we stabled out there, I'm going to call it 110 pounds of working pressure with this 3/8 gun. So that's 10 over what the maximum performance is. So you can see that the longer the line you have, maybe this will go down. I don't have any more line to do that, but we lost some in the compressor, okay? Now we're at 150. So let's try it again and see if we get a different result on the bottom number. So no, okay? Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the regulator down. All right, so now you can see that we got the regulator at about 140 pounds. All right, then we're gonna pull the trigger again. And that got us at 90 PSI where this gun is supposed to run. Now I have a luber, filter, dryer on all this stuff, and you can see that, you know, this thing becomes pretty badass. Now what we got to do is, what we will do is we will step up to a 3/8 line, or what I call another 100-footer, okay? All right, and we got 3/8. You know, I just use these regular quick disconnect Prevost fittings. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get the 1/2 inch gun out, and we're gonna test it at 140, okay, and see if that brings us right around 90 PSI. So I put the 3/8 or the 1/2 inch gun, and I have this full 1/2 inch line to 3/8 thing to a 3/8 fitting, and then this is 1/4 inch because that's what that's in there. And you can see we got the gauge set at, well, we got 120 in this. Okay, so now we got 140, and let's see what we get when we pull the trigger here. So that went back down to 115, okay? Now, we didn't see as big a pressure drop as we did with the 3/8 gun. Now, part of the reason, I believe, is we have a 1/2 inch line here, okay? So we're moving a lot of volume, and our pressure difference is not that much, okay? So you're probably wondering, like, what does all this mean? But I'm trying to explain it to you to show you that the bigger airline you got, you know, you can manipulate the pressure a little bit more, okay? So we'll try this again. All right, we got our regulator set at 140, and we will hit the trigger. All right, so we went down. Now, let's crank the regulator back up. But also, we're starting to lose volume in our tank, so we're not getting as much starting pressure. Now we had to let the gun build, or you can see that now that we have more wide open pressure here, we're probably over 160. All right, now I'm gonna hit this gun and see if you hear a difference in how much volume we're really moving through there. So to me, the gun is running a little bit stronger and stuff like that, you know, and you can see that there's about a 15 to 20 pound dip in your gun when you're running it through the Airlines and all that stuff. So now you're probably wondering, like, okay, Justin, well, let's go to a 1-inch gun, and I'm going to show you kind of how much more air volume it moves compared to this system. Okay, so you can see that the gun definitely is bigger. You know, it has more, maybe it has more vanes. It just has bigger everything, and it's going to move more air just like a regular engine. So let me get that set up, and then we're going to come back, and I'm going to show you kind of how you can manipulate your air system with just one simple ball valve, and how you could cheat something to, let's just say, if somebody was paying you to get a fucking result, how you could manipulate that. Pretty easy, off-screen, power of editing. You can pretty much do whatever you want. So let's move into, we'll get a full 1/2 inch line with 1/2 inch air fittings, and you're gonna see how much more a 1-inch gun moves than a regular 1/2 inch gun and stuff like that. So also I wanted to talk a little bit, when you're trying to run guns head to head, okay, and you got just a regular 80-gallon air compressor, you know, I ran all that 3/8 gun, and I probably ran for 45 seconds to maybe, probably 2 minutes. I ran 2 minutes without the compressor kicking back on, and it kicks back on at 145. So still, you know, 145, I'm over the 90 PSI of working pressure that these guns work at, and that's what I believe. 120 pounds, if you run impacts at 120 pounds, you know, and you keep them oiled, that's about the sweet spot that I found back when I was drag racing and all that shit. So let's move over to here and to a 1-inch gun, and I'll show you the difference of the volume that this bastard moves. I got the 1-inch gun all hooked up here, okay? And this is gonna be pretty hard to fucking hold. But anyway, you can see that we're at 160, and I still got the regulator wide open, and I'm gonna hit the gun. So that's in full reverse, and we lost 60 PSI, okay? That is a tremendous amount of air volume lost, okay? 60 PSI this gun uses. So that means we are definitely moving a lot of air, okay? You know what I'm saying? And, I mean, let me get it back up here again. So there it is. We're still at, now watch how far this thing goes down. So that's with a 1-inch gun, okay? So when, you know, you have people and you see them out there with a small air compressor trying to want a 1-inch gun, and they tell you the thing's a piece of shit, well, it's probably because they're not having as much air moving through the regulator. And these things, really what this needs to be on is a 3/4 line with 1/2-inch fittings and stuff like that. But anyway, now let's get ready to show you how you can simply cheat this system and stuff like that. We'll go back to the 1/2-inch just for reference because this gun is fucking heavy. So now I'm going to kind of show you how you can easily manipulate this gun to have less power or whatever. Now the videos that I'm talking about, okay, you guys they always play music over and you can't hear the tone of the gun, okay? Because if you could hear the tone of the gun, you could tell a lot to know if it's bullshit right away. But when they play some background music and all the horse shit, okay, and they edit all this stuff up, you can't hear the tone of the gun. And I could tell you if an impact gun, you know, by how it sounds, if you have enough air in it or if you're getting weak and all that stuff. So the easiest way to cheat the system, okay, and when you're using a Skidmore Wilhelm, you have to have some type of valve that you can shut off with after running the gun for 15 seconds. So there's already something there that's gonna, you know, slam the valve shut or whatever, and it loses pressure and it drops off. Also, if you watch that, yes, he alternates each gun every time, okay, but he only has an 80-gallon Ingersoll Rand compressor. So I think he can run 45 seconds, okay, and then the compressor is going to be down, and then the compressor is going to have to start up and make enough volume, okay? So there's something to that too, because you saw that the lower, you know, the more you get away from the maximum PSI going into the gun, the less power it has, just like a regular engine. So the easiest way is you block off the exhaust a little bit, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold this up. I'm going to put my finger over the exhaust. I just got some paper shoved in there, okay? And now I'm going to hit the gun, and I want you to see if you can hear a difference in the tone of the gun, if it's struggling or anything like that, you know, and we're going to see what the pressure does here. Okay, so as you can see, just by simply shoving this in there, okay, move as much volume. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this out and I'm going to show you. So this is with nothing shoved in the exhaust. And we went down to 135, and you could definitely hear the gun it was moving more shit through it, okay? So that's theory number one, okay? Now, there's another way to do this that's a little bit easier that you can cheat the system. If you have a ball valve, all you got to do is turn it about halfway, okay? Now, as you can see, this is wide open. We only lost 20. Now what I'm going to do is turn the ball valve about halfway, and we're going to run it again. Okay, and you can see that we lost 20 more PSI just by doing that. Well, that's obviously going to make this gun hit less harder, okay? And then let's say if you could figure out how to get this gun to turn this off and how to get this gun to run for 15 seconds. Like how many feet of hose you got to have before it starts losing pressure, okay? All right, so you saw that. Now what I want to show you is that was wide open, okay? Now I know that I got to turn this regulator down to 120 to get working pressure, okay? Okay guys, so right there at 115 pounds, right there at 115 pounds, when I pull the trigger, we get 90 PSI, okay? Now, the reason I showed you that is because that's what we're testing these guns at, okay? We ain't testing it the Junkie style where they're wide open. The guy's testing them at working 90 PSI. So now what we'll do is we'll turn the ball valve half closed again and watch. Okay, it went down to 80 pounds, okay? So if you were testing one at 90 PSI and another one at 80 pounds, okay, do you see that you would be losing power, okay? Just like what I talked about before, the NASCAR engine and all that shit. So there's definitely some science, and I'll show you the other little trick to, you know, you can see that the exhaust closed, what that does. The exhaust closed doesn't drop it as much because A, it can't get out. You know what I'm saying? But the ball valve trick is definitely, you know, how I think you can cheat any kind of system to get any type of numbers you want. Maybe if you had an air compressor system that went to 250 pounds, okay? You could test a half-inch gun on a Skidmore Wilhelm, make whatever fucking number you want, okay, and then sell it to the public and know that, hey, it hit that number once. You know, that's all we need to do for our marketing guru shit. But anyway, that's been my theory on how this could be cheating the system and really lying to you guys. Now, the next video, I bought a Harbor Freight gun. We're going to do a real-world test. Okay, this is no bullshit. I haven't done none of this before. I'm shooting this all on the same day, so whatever. We'll go to this Harbor Freight gun. I'm going to give you a quick little overview about it and all that shit. We're going to compare the specs, and we're going to see, you know, all that type of shit. But that'll be in the next video, and we're going to do a real-world test on the only thing that I got, which is a truck rim, so whatever. I hope you guys liked this video of me explaining air guns and all that stuff. If you have any more questions or you want a follow-up video, leave that in the description or the comments section. I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of haters that I'm fucking stupid and all this shit, but it's okay. No big deal. This is just my theory of it. I hope I explained it well to kind of show you some of the different things about air guns and all that stuff. Like always, visit my Patreon page. That really helps support this channel, and it let me afford to buy and review tools. So if you guys want to see tool reviews of real world shit, like none of this Skidmore Wilhelm bullshit, we'll buy a tool, we'll test it out on the big dump trucks. Go to the Patreon page, become a Patreon, you know, throw in $10 a month, dude. I mean, it's no big deal. You know, that's a pack of cigarettes a month. You need to quit smoking anyway, probably, so do I. But go to the Patreon page, you know, you get access to all the videos 24 hours in advance. While I'm trying to get there, you know, I got behind on filming and all this shit, but what the fuck ever. I'm trying to get caught up, you know. Guys, I'm working 7 days a week, man, so just bear with me. Also, visit the Snap-on Collectors, the Snap-on Junkie Facebook group. I post a lot of behind-the-scenes pictures there, and Instagram. We're going to get that fired back up. Sorry for the slacking, But like always, guys, thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you on the next one.